Okay, Moose, let's go see what's happened.
Child labor. Okay guys, the tornado went by our house and knocked down one of our string sets and blew two of our cellos into our ditch.
I'm here sitting on my mama's back porch, just because it's an easy place for me to sit and talk. Growing up in Alabama, I've experienced all kinds of weather. In the summer, it gets up above 100 degrees with 100% humidity. You come outside for 25 minutes and you're just dripping wet with sweat sticking to yourself. You do what you can and then you run back inside for the air conditioners running and the dehumidifiers running, and you take a big whiff of your mama's oxygen tank just because the air's so thick you can't breathe. In the springtime, the weather can't decide if it wants to be 87 degrees with air so thick with pollen that you can't see 12 feet in front of you, or if it wants to be negative 12 degrees and all of the peaches that are forming on the trees freeze and fall off. In the winter, it's just a big muddy slushy mess just about all winter long. It gets down to below freezing several times a year. We don't get a lot of snow, we don't get a lot of sleet, but we do get cold, wet rain. Spring and fall is pretty nice as far as the temperature goes, and as far as pretty blue skies go, but we get tornadoes on the days when it warms up really warm and then a cold front comes through. The atmosphere becomes volatile. Now we get some hurricanes in the summer and the fall. Even where I live up in Birmingham, we're about 5 hours from the coast, we still get the effects from hurricanes where we are, but even then we have days and days ahead of time to prepare. With tornadoes, we have maybe 30 minutes. We know ahead of time, a couple of days, if the conditions are favorable for a tornado. But to pinpoint exactly when one's going to occur, sometimes we only have 10 or 15 minutes warning. Now we have a legend down here in Alabama. His name is James Spann, and he is one of the weathermen that is famous. He not only can tell you when the tornado is coming, what area of the state it's going to come by, but he can pinpoint exactly what road it's going to be on, exactly what time it's going to pass by such and such particular gas station or barbecue joint. And he has been all over the state speaking to school children for 40 years. And so he is just a legend, and we're very thankful and grateful to have him. We were under a tornado watch all of last Thursday. We knew ahead of time that the conditions would be favorable. That's what a watch is. Watch out for it. When the warning came, the tornadoes were coming through Tuscaloosa and Jefferson and Shelby counties. We knew that it was coming towards us here in St. Clair County. The skies got dark. We all came inside. We heard the tornado sirens, and all of our devices, electronic devices, have weather apps on them, and all the phones and tablets started beeping. I gathered together all the children. My sister and mother live here in her house. They got in the dining room, which is the middle room of their house. Jonathan was off that day. He was up at our house. So I had all 4 children with me. We huddled together in the hallway. There's a computer desk in the hallway. Catherine and Jeremiah got under the desk, had pillows stuffed around them and on top of their heads. Jonathan, Daniel, and I, we sat in the floor in front of the two little kids, and we had pillows on top of our heads. All the bedroom and bathroom doors were shut. It was in the very middle of the house. The power went off. The storm raged around us. It sounded just like the freight train that everybody talks about. It sounded like a war zone with things hitting the house, pine cones and limbs and trash from God knows where all over creation, just hitting the house. And then all of a sudden it was all over with. The power was still out, but the storm was gone. It headed east of us to the next county over. 5 people did lose their lives in Ohatchee, Alabama. Just unbelievable sadness that would happen. But we came outside and we looked around, and just unbelievable gratitude just filled my heart. I'm the kind of person I can hold everything together while it's happening, but just as soon as it's all over with, I crumble to pieces. And I did that day. I was standing out here in the middle of the yard looking around. All the houses are standing. The bird houses, the aviaries, not even the plastic or the tarps that we had on to protect from the cold weather this winter, where it was even damaged. None of the roofs blew over, none of the cages blew over. Everything still standing, all the birds and animals, the goats, everything. Wet and scared, but in perfect condition otherwise. The tops blew out of 2 trees, and it's just absolutely amazing. One of the trees was a dead pine tree. I'm staring at it now, growing precariously close to, right between my home and my mother's home. We only live 30 feet apart, and I've been wondering how I'm going to deal with this pine tree. Well, God snapped it off right in half. He took the top half of it, threw it over the telephone and cable lines. It did take out the power line at the very tippity top of the power pole, but God snapped the top half of it off and threw it over the telephone line, right into the pile of a little sunken spot in our yard where I burn all the feed bags from the animal food, where we burn limbs and things of that nature. So I'm just unbelievable gratitude that we were spared all that. So just a little bit of cleanup left. Nothing major. Thank God, thank God, thank God.
When the tornado went by as well, it took down this tree. It didn't even go past our house.
The top out of this big pine tree fell out. If it had fallen any other way, it could have taken out our fence or our new little shed, could have taken out our house, or if it had fallen this way, could have taken out my sister's car, my truck, and or my mother's house. So we are extremely fortunate that this is all that happened. Now here's the base of the tree that fell, the dead pine tree. This is a little, where's my finger? This is a turnaround driveway area. The tree didn't just fall, it was propelled. Now here's where that other tree fell.
When this tree broke, it pierced a hole in another tree. I think that's so cool and so weird.
So that pine tree, it didn't just fall, it was propelled through the yard a good 50 or 75 feet. It didn't just fall into the driveway or into the yard. It flew over the power and cable lines. It did knock out the power line. It didn't knock out the telephone lines or the cable lines that were down lower than the power line. Alabama Power was on the scene within an hour and had everything restored. But the top of this tree blew through the yard, was propelled across the yard, and it landed in the junk pile where we burn our feed bags. And that is it's just miraculous to me that it could not have landed in a better spot. Not only did God spare our house and our cars, he took out a dead pine tree for us, and he dropped it directly into the burn pile. I am amazed by that. So here's this other limb. I know that, having 2 broken trees is not a big deal. The storm that came through, it took 5 lives in the next county over. I consider ourselves to be incredibly fortunate. Well, all in all, we're very thankful that we had almost no damage whatsoever. Just very, very happy about that, and still praying for the families of those who did have significant losses. Anyhow, thank you for watching. God bless you. We love you. Bye-bye.